So let's start by paying homage to the Buddha. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. So today is very first day for the Commentarial Foundation course. Actually, that course is mainly based on the Atakata achieved in Myanmar, written by the most venerable Basadika Siaroji or Mahagandayam Siaroji. So his book is here, Atakata achieved. So mainly sources on this book. So some parts I will translate and I will explain based on the Siaroji's book. So this one is very useful for the new Pali learners, especially who have already Pali grammar knowledge, and then to start learning the commentary especially. So that is very useful. So the Siaroji also day by day, at his time, he taught his young, junior students in his monastery every morning, early morning, maybe one day, 1.5 hour. So now this one is maybe his, that record of his lecture later, public. So very useful for other also. That is one. And mainly we were used this text, but for all, so as much as I can, some parts are already translated here. Maybe there's no also you can get it. Maybe in some students I shared the link. So that is Google Note, Google Docs. So Google Docs fine because commonly I use this application to share the note because most of my lecture are day by day or time by time, always increasing. So after one class, maybe some more new notes are added to that. That is why. So whenever we finish our class, you will have that note. So that is why, even though now maybe 10 pages I already translated, but maybe it's 10 day by day. And also these notes are also will be edited by teaching you. So while teaching, so that is why maybe instead of, printing out, so maybe you should use maybe any devices to open that one. So in the Google Docs application, that is useful for us online, especially online teaching. Okay. So, and also here in Siaroji books, Siaroji before start that, Atakata achieved you or Commentarial Foundation course, Siaroji used to teach that, mainly Dhammavara commentary, because Dhammavara commentary or maybe information in the Dhammavara, as you all know, very useful for us in daily life. So as well as in the commentaries, so Siaroji did not focus on the story, just focusing on the grammar, the commentary explanation. So that is why maybe one stanza has 4 lines, but those lines are, commentarily explained. So maybe what by what, or literal meaning, or intended meaning, and so on. And also the meaning should be understood in this context. So in this way, Saraji explained, even in commentary also. That is when Saraji choose this one. So we also will use that one also. Okay, so if we try to learn the commentary, so we need to know that maybe all of you already know that what is commentary, but so briefly, so commentary is actually explanation of the Pali Canon. Briefly in this way can be understood. So nowadays we know that the Banariva commentator, the most famous commentator is Banariva Puttakosa. Actually, he also, all of these are his not own writing, maybe just collecting or just composing. So the mainly sources of those commentaries are actually the Buddha. So whenever the Buddha expound the Dhamma, not just Pali Canon, maybe nowadays we know in the Pali Canon, for example, very first stanza of the Dhammapada, Manobhagawa Dhamma, Manosita Manomaya, so Manasaji Badotina, Vasidiva, Grodiva. Not just that, because that is a kind of poem. So the poem is, included so poem has many, how to say, profound information, maybe in structure, in meaning, and metaphorical senses, and also. So that is when the Buddha need to explain to his disciples, especially monks at that time. So that is very clear. So because, at the very beginning, so when the Buddha expounded the Dhammajaka Bauddhana Sutta to his very first disciple, so Benjavagiya, so it takes 5 days at least to understand that. So very first day, Banuriva Kondinya understand and practice well and attain the Sotapanna. And next day, so Kondinya, next day is Wippa, Badiya, Mahana, Asaji. So, so respectively. So to understand that Dhammajaka Bhavana Sutta nowadays, so if we read it, only maybe within 15 minutes or maybe 10 minutes, we can finish. Maybe if we read, so translation may be based on Myanmar translation for me, or English translation for so English native, or maybe a translation in your language. If you read, maybe it takes 10 minutes, 15 minutes, maybe so half an hour. During that we can, but understand, deeply information or proper meaning, sense of that. So maybe teacher or maybe senior, so need to explain widely using this same. So that one is recorded, that is now, main sources of the commentary. In this way, rapidly we can understand. Okay, that is just about the commentary. That is right here. So commentary is called in Pali Atthakatha. Atthakatha. So Atthakatha also literal, so combination of the, Atta and the Gatha. Atta and the Gatha. So Atta meaning, or maybe explanation. And so Gatiyati, maybe explained. So Ita or Idaya. So by that book or by that way, or maybe in that book or in that way, so the meaning is explained. Or the meaning of the Pali Canon is explained. So that is why it is called the Atthakatha or commentary. So that is why commentary. So basically we can understand. So widely explanation of the Pali Canon is commentary, Atthakatha. That is why the Asian scholars, they use to refer to that treatise, they use that technical term, the Atthakatha. So that is the meaning of the Atthakatha. And then not only the commentary, but also Pali Canon itself, when we learn to understand. So this step is very important to follow. So Patamangari Padichidan, Samasati Dadogari. So Samasado Gati Bacha Atanjaniya Bandito. Okay. So the meaning of that one, so here roughly I translated based on the Saraji translation. So firstly, that is, Bataman or first of all, fast. So Kari Patichidan, so a student or a learner should apply separation of words. So through the euphonic combination. That is just literal sense. Later, so how deeply important of that meaning. So later we will. And then, so firstly, we should divide separation. So in Pali, so all of you already learned the same Pali texts. So those Pali texts are maybe based on the fluidity of the language, fluidity of speaking. Or maybe so to easily flow out in our, speaking in our tongue, maybe easy to recite. In Pali, called the Sukho Jarana. So we apply the euphonic rules, the Sandhi rules, joining two words into a single word. Maybe some consonant drop in, some vowel drop in, some vowel or two vowel changing with another one vowel, or some consonant inserting, and so on. So main purpose of the Sandhi rule application is, to recite smoothly to smoothly recite, to smoothly chant it. Maybe some are separately worded, so a bit difficult to pronounce, or a bit difficult to chant, a bit difficult to read it. But at that time, maybe so join one of them, drop in or silent, maybe one of them is inserted, and so on. So they can be smoother and smoother to recite in this way. That is one reason. And another reason is, how to say, especially in poem or stanza or gatha in Pali. So in gatha, way of composition or rules of compositions of the stanza we have by the Votodaya or Chanda. So at that time, maybe what limitation, or maybe hard voice or soft voice or place, maybe guru lahu, or light and soft, or high and low, and so on. And also based on that, so some words are need to omitted, or some words are need to be added, and also some long vowel need to be short, some short vowel need to be long, and so on. So because of that, also partly, those euphonic rules are applied. So that is mainly two reasons. So applying the euphonic rule or Sandhi rules. So that is why when you read the original text or Pali Canon, we need to separate those of them. We need to separate words of them. So because if they are combined, two words or three words are combined into each other, so at that time, so we cannot guess it. Or this one is a kind of the declinable one, or indeclinable one, or subject, or verb, or object, or gerund, or infinity. So we cannot understand, we cannot see easily a part of speech of that word because of two words are combination, because two words are combined as a single one. So that is firstly we need to separate. So after that, so we can, this one is noun form with the nominative case, subject function in the sentence, etc. But this one is a verb. So present tense, past tense, future tense. You can guess it based on your Pali grammar knowledge. So that is why firstly, need to be separated, those combined words. So after that, and so we need to analyze samasa in the doggery. This one is compound word or samasa, or maybe this one is a pure noun form or adjective form or pronoun form. So based on that, we need to check or we need to analyze which case ending it is or which case, or maybe this one is decline form together with which case ending. So at the time we can get the meaning of that roughly. And also if it is compounded word or compounded noun or compounded adjective, and then also what kind of compound we need to analyze. That is samasari in the dog derivative. And also if it is secondary derivative word dadita, and then also what kind of dadita roughly should be. But actually those samasa or dadita compound or maybe that secondary derivative mostly we can rely on the dictionary. So in the dictionary, those of them are provided. But so while reading the commentary, in this way we practice maybe our Pali knowledge, so getting increased. Later, so whenever we read new words, so automatically our mind works, our brain works to analyze. At that time, the meaning of some words, so we can understand rapidly without looking at dictionary. And also, even though we don't know the meaning of that word, so we find out in the dictionary. Maybe dictionary provides the meaning of that. So at that time, quite difficult to understand why the meaning of that. But if we analyze literally of that word, so at the time, we can, this one, that's because of this, because of that. So the meaning of that is this. In this way can be understood. That is why, samasade in the doggery. So analyzing of the a kind of compound, analyzing of the a kind of secondary derivative, analyzing of the a kind of primary derivative like the gerund, infinitive, present participle, past participle, future participle, and so on, based on your Pali knowledge. So in this way, we already, by doing that, so we already, review our Pali knowledge, and then, so our Pali knowledge became, richer and richer. So at the time, we will become, familiar with the Pali in this way. So that is application of the, our Pali knowledge to understand the commentary or maybe Pali canon also, and sub-commentary also, legal. And then, so samasa do kati picha, after analyzing samasa word, compound word, etc. So Atanjaniya bandito. Atanjaniya bandito, maybe a wise one. Now, at the very beginning, we are just a learner or a student. By doing that, now we get roughly meaning of that word or meaning of each word. And also based on the case ending, so we can understand their syntactic relation, or maybe functional those words in the sentence, like the subject or subject modifier, object modifier, and also subject of the gerund verb, subject object of the gerund verb, object of the infinitive verb, or object of the main verb, and maybe add verb, or time expression, or manner expression, and so on. So to get it, so we need to find the syntactic relation. In Myanmar, we call it Sazet. So after that, so rapidly we can understand. That is why now, not just as students, a student, a wise one, bandito. So atanjania bandito. So a student or a wise one can understand the meaning of that. So this one also very important. Okay, so and then now wakya means sentence.
May I have a question, Sayadaw?
Okay.
So do we know the source of this verse? Is it made by the Sayadaw G, or he took it from any other place?
Okay, that one also Asian scholars compose. Saraji just explained that. Maybe based on their experience.
Okay, and then according to Sayagyi's translation, then here Sama Sadain Kare, which means we had to analyze the compound, not making the compound,
Not making compound, analyzing compound used by the commentators.
Okay.
So
here
the compound word found in the commentary. So we need to analyze to get the meaning of that.
I see. Okay, thank you, Sayadaw.
Okay. Sources for that stanza here, Saroji. And so some here you see E is in Yaguda ye say Searo main or Mujadi ma. So with reference to these procedure. So the Asian teacher said this stanza, but amangari, but it cheated. Samasa de the doggery, Samasa doggery, Pacha, Atanjania Bandito. So after that, Saraji explained the Wakya. Wakya means a sentence in Pali called the Wakya. So all of that, combination of words become a sentence, Wakya, or combination of the, instead of saying combinations, group. So group of words becomes a sentence, or group of sentence becomes the maybe paragraph. So group of paragraphs becomes treatise. That is very simple. So basic information of that to understand them, to understand such a treaty like the commentaries. So we need to know a kind of this sentence, a kind of the wakya. So for that here, Saraji wrote. So that is just not my opinion. Saraji wrote in that book. I just translate. All of these are just translation. Based on that, I'm explaining you. So commentators wrote, so group and group of words. So group of words, that is called the sentence. So wakya, but so sentence by sentence. So to be meaningful in the intended sense. So that means even though they are group of words, but could not be called a sentence if it doesn't give so a complete idea or meaningful idea, meaningful information. So not just collecting a collection of words is not a sentence. Okay. So that is why, so to understand the intended meaning of the commentaries, it is important to roughly know in advance. So common characteristics of the sentences. So characteristic of the sentence. The same way, commonly, maybe what kind of sentence it is. To analyze that or to know that, maybe we need to know the whole text. we need to know the whole paragraph at least, based on their relation. Maybe some are reason, some are cause, or some are effect. Maybe some are introduction, some are detailed explanation, or some are just statement, some are, reference or supporting idea, maybe. But so in the, nature of the commentary writing, all of the commentators use the indicator of a sentence. Those are especially nipada or indeclinable particle. So without reading the whole text, the whole lines, so based on that indeclinable particle, this one is maybe 2 or 3 sentences can be, or 2 or 3 kinds of a sentence can be. So in this roughly, so we can understand based on those are called the indicator of the sentence. And then, so types of sentence are, various or variety. But so in this book, so, and according to its name, this one is, foundation course. That is why not all of the sentence, each and every sentence, so which can be found in the dictionary, were not explained here. Only common sentence. So those common sentences are also often we can see, we can face when we read the commentary. And also common and important sentences here already introduced. So now, characteristic of the Vakya sentence. So group of words that denote the intended meaning of the speaker in Pali or in other language is called the sentence. That is just a meaning of the Vakya. So that is why here, the literal explanation. So yan bada jatan. So yatha dibi datan waja diti dan Vakya. So bada jada, whatever group of words, so which means or which denotes the intended meaning of the speaker, yatha dibi dan. Intended meaning. So it is called the Vakya sentence. So that is why, even though at the very beginning, group of word is a sentence, that is common saying, roughly saying, or generally speaking. So that is why. So for example, so the group of words, so Buriso Megan Getcheti is called the sentence, Vakya. So because it denotes the intended meaning, a man goes through a road, along the road. A man goes along the road. So because of that, so Buddhism and HD can be considered as a sentence because it can get the complete information. A man goes along the road. So now remark based on that characteristic of the work here. So Ayam Bodo. So Ayam is one word, Bodo also one word. It means, so this is the enlightened one. Even though no word for the verb to be is, in Pali, it can be understood. Verb to be occasionally omitted. So ayan Buddha, not just this Buddha. This is the Buddha. So here also it is meaningful. Ayan Buddha, even though it is only 2 words. That is why it can be considered, it can be counted as a sentence. And then, so some question we ask, so Mama wajanan sitjan wa nawa. So my speech is right or not? Is my speech right or not? So to that question, maybe, so one of the student can answer right or wrong. So that is maybe sitjan, right. So at that time, that sitjan maybe right or maybe it is right. But just a single word, but so it can gives, complete idea, complete meaning. So that sitjan also can be counted as a kind of a sentence, even though a single word. And then, so in the question, will you ask game or what? What is it? Or maybe, so why what can? So when we see one of our friend going to somewhere, so at that time we ask where? Maybe to market. We surely ask where. He also surely replied to market. So those are also even a single word, but so it is meaningful. We can understand. So that one also a kind of a sentence. That is why, a group of word is a sentence. So that saying is just general. But briefly, the should be noted that the characteristic of the sentence is, denoting a complete idea is the characteristic of the sentence. Denoting complete idea, even though single word or 2 words or more. So what limit? So number of what is here not matter. It doesn't matter. Denotation of the complete idea is main here, characteristic. So other than it can be called the vakya. And then now vakya jodaka. Jodaka means indicator. So indicator of a sentence. So mostly those commentators, when they write their commentaries, especially in commentaries. So commentary is a kind of the literary work. So that is why they write them systematically. And so sentence by sentence are related to each other. So at that time, they use the interclavier particles like hija, bana, and so on. So the function of those hija, bana are just, so vakya jodaka. They indicate what kind of sentence this is. And also such a, indeclinable particle or vakya jodaka, indicator of the sentence, so can be found in the second place of a sentence. They never start a sentence. Mostly in the second place from the beginning of the sentence. Second beginning place. So they show that. So this is what kind of a sentence. And so they are just wakya jodaga indicator of a sentence. So with reference to that, with reference to by seeing those, the hija, pana, etc. in the kind particle, if we know, so when we see he, how many sentences, the he can denote how many type of sentences, ja, how many type of sentences, pana, how many type of sentences. All our lists are here. We can read it. So the meaning of the he, or so the number of sentences denoted by the he and indicated by the he, and so on. By knowing that, so we can understand, oh, when we see he, so what kind of sentence should be here? Maybe 3 or 1 or 3, or so 1 or 4, like that can be understood. So that is why. So which indicator indicate what kind of sentence? Which indicator indicates what kind of sentence it is? So to note that, now briefly, that is at the very beginning, Saraji said. So basic fact to know in advance. Before learning the commentator, these basic informations are very important to know in advance. So that is why here, so with reference to these indicators, so it is known that this is a brief sentence in Sankhapa in Pali. This is a detailed sentence, Vaitara, and so on. What kind of sentence it is, we can understand roughly. So those indeclinable particles are actually, that is Saraji remark, not necessary to translate, because they cannot mean any meaning. They cannot express, they cannot denote any meaning. So except that, so indication of indicator of the work that Jodaga. But nowadays, most of the in Myanmar Nesia, most of the translators or Nesia serologies, they translate based on the type of sentence. So the meaning of them, they translate. So they are being translated. So ja mean in brief, or maybe bana mean bad, or however, or and then, and so on. The meaning of that. So that one also actually acceptable, because now, in the academic writing, for example, for our thesis or dissertation, so we need to use some linking word. Based on that linking word, so we can understand, link up those sentences, and then that so can have a reader understand easily. So that is similarly. So understanding those, the indicator of a sentence, hijabana, etc. So we can guess it. What kind of sentence is this? What kind of sentence this is can be understood easily. So now, so this one is actually just a poem in Burmese, but quite difficult to translate. That is briefly I write down here. Not poem type. So hijabana, nipata start in the sentence. So maybe start in the second place actually. So in Myanmar. So when we learn the Dhammatriya text, so at that time such a poem we need to memorize. So that is what Saroji said here. Achigan Jemmayan. So at the beginning here, Jemmayan ni achigan. Jemman ni achigan. Basic facts to learn by heart in advance. But actually to understand, that is for exam. But to understand, so we don't need to memorize them. Maybe just so repeatedly when we see it. So later we will remember. So that is fine. But we should know. So for that here, so especially these, so hijabana nibada waja shinaidon, that is Myanmar poem, Salmi, just linger or poem. So such a poem we need to memorize. So in Myanmar, in the material exam especially. So now, the important role of those indicators. So here, similarly, broken branches. So for example, so when traveler enter a jungle, the jungle, so deep forest, no way there, clearly. So maybe with one purpose, with a single purpose, maybe so intentionally he entered. But so after that, he need to, get out of them. So at that time, the most important one is he knows the way he entered. So at the time, so what should he do here? So just a man who enter a jungle, so not to be gone astray, not lost the way. So he not to be lost himself when he returned. So at the time, so he does this, so breaks off, branch, and then put it down as a mark of the road, as a mark of the way. So branches, tree, so breaking the branches of tree and put it down as a mark of that, as a mark of road. In this way, he entered the jungle. So maybe after doing something he wants, he needed, he so go back or come out of that forest. So based on the mark of that broken branches, so he can safely get out of that forest. The same way, so the commentators are, very big text, very big treatise. So even within a single paragraph, so from the beginning, maybe some paragraphs are very long, maybe a page, 1 page or 2 pages, maybe 1.5 page. So at the time, so to get the intended meaning of that paragraph or of the commentator, so we need to read it. We need to explore that paragraph systematically. So line by line. So at that time, so not to lose the intended meaning after that or after this, what will happen, what will be said. So to guess it or to understand or to link each other. So these, the Wakya Jodaka or indicator sentences look like the, broken branches for the traveler who entering a jungle. So that is why those Wakya Jodaka are, a person who learns the commentary, so not to misunderstand the intended meaning and the idea. So looking at the indeclinable particle like the, so japa, na, wa, atawa, bi, abi, yata, data, and so on. So these are a mark of a road. A mark of those sentences that is a Wakya Jodaka. What kind of sentence is this? So seeing that, so we can understand that contextual, maybe syntactic relation or so the linking of those sentences can be understood easily. And also some are, Wakya Jodaka or Bada Jodaka also can be seen there. Indicator of a word is Bada Jodaka. Indicator of a sentence is Wakya Jodaka. So at the time, so a learner can understand the right meaning of that paragraph or that sentence or that treatise. So therefore, so the ancient teachers said that, so Nibado, Jodago, Wodo. So Nibadas are just indicated. Saka Benga Samohiso. That Nibada look like Saka mean branches, Benga mean which is broken, Samo mean look like. So an indeclinable particle is set as the indicator, and it certainly looks like a broken branch. And then now, so type of sentences, list of those sentences, so variety of the work here. So all those sentences indicated by those indeclinable particles are named, so manifold. Manifold is named, many types, but it is important to know, so that are common and often found in the commentary. So they will be listed in accordance with the following bases. Following bars mean that the meaning of that heat. Bars mean poem. Niyan, in Myanmar we call Niyan. So now meaning of the heat. So firstly, three sentences denoted indicated by the heat. So they are similar in meaning. Even though three sentences, they are similar in meaning in previous line. So the first one is, so Tappagati Karana Vakya. Tappagati Karana Vakya. So a sentence that denotes or that makes obvious or that makes clear the meaning and idea of the former. So clear is better to understand. That makes clear, so the meaning and idea of the former sentence. So that is why, you see, next sentence is connected with the former sentence. Later sentence is connected with the former sentence. So that is why maybe, so even a single sentence with reference to the former line. So it have this name, but with reference to the following line. So it can be changed into another name. So even though a single sentence can be two names at least, based on their related sentence, based on the former line, based on the later line, and so on. So that is why, to analyze a sentence, maybe within a paragraph is better to understand. Maybe when we see just a single thing, this is cause, we cannot say. This is effect, we cannot say. Based on the, with reference to the former line. So former line is cause, surely later line will be, effect. Maybe former line is brief sentence. Based on that, later line will be detailed. So in this way. But even though, later, so detailed sentence, but based on the following line again, so it can be, how to say, cause or effect or something like that. So that is a sentence name can be changed. So with reference to they are related sentence. So now, the first three sentences denoted by the he, they are similar in meaning with the previous one. So the first one is Tabbakati Karana Vakya. So a sentence, so that makes clear the clear the meaning and idea of the former sentence. And then Vaitara Vakya. Vaitara means extended literally. So a sentence that explores or that explains detail the meaning of the former ones. That explore or explain detail. Details of the meaning of the former line is called the Vaitara. And then, so number 3 is Danlikarana Vakya. So Danlikarana may be a reference or quotation or explanation, logical explanation. So for example, when we suppose or when we submit some statement, so that statement is reliable or not. Reliable, it has reliable sources or not. Without any, so who said so? Maybe commonly we say that, we ask that, who says so? Maybe the Buddha said, oh, if the Buddha said that, so it can be reliable in this way. So later sentence is that, so to support the former statement, to confirm, to make firm. So that confirmation sentence is Danlikarana. So a sentence that confirms the meaning of the former sentence. So now these 3 sentences are, the same as former sentence in meaning, just different. So for example, Tabakadi Karana. So later sentence is unclear, but this meaning. Following former sentence also mean this meaning. Later sentence also mean this meaning, but just different, clear and unclear. That is why they are similar in meaning. The same way, so Vaitara. Vaitara is detailed explanation. So in meaning, it is the same as the former line. So in former line, also this meaning, in this line also this meaning. But in former line, briefly statement, a brief statement. But here, detailed explanation. Just that. Only detail and brief is different. In meaning, they are the same. That is fine. 3 sentences similar in meaning. The same way, Danlikarana. So former line statement also this one. Later line statement also this one. But former line is just a statement, not so strong. But later line is, so to support that former statement, maybe speak of the Buddha or logical explanation or something like that. But the meaning is the same, similar. Only, strong and weak are different. So that is why these sentences are called briefly to understand. 3 sentences similar in meaning denoted by the he. Those are Tabbakati Karana or Vaitara and then Danlikarana. Maybe those terms are a bit, acquaintance to you. No problem. No problem. Later, while doing or while reading, exploring. So at the time, these words repeatedly, we can hear, we can use it at the time. So they will be familiar with us. So now here also to bear or remember, so the meaning of the he. So briefly, so the first line is the Tabbakati Karana make clear. The second one is explore or detailed explanation. And that one is confirmed. they are same as former one in meaning. And so point is clear. So clearing sentence, making clear sentence, and exploring sentence, and so confirmation sentence. So if we cannot remember those Dabagadi Garana or Waitara or maybe Dali Garana, quite difficult to remember. So maybe just these are also the meaning of them, making clear sentence or exploration sentence, or maybe detailed explanation sentence or confirmation sentence, and so on. And then the other 3 sentences, connected meaning. So they are not similar in meaning, but partly connected, talking about that information. The 3 sentences, those 3 sentences are also denoted by the that he. So now the first 3, now second 3. So they are, the first one is karana or he to work here. So a sentence that gives a reason to a formal line. Karana work here. Maybe at that time, formal line is, so some statement or resultants, result. So this one give reason to that. That is called the karana or hetu. Maybe those who are you familiar, hetu, pichio, and so on. The same way, next line is, pala wakya. So at the time, formal line is cause. So this line will show the effect. A sentence expresses a result of the former sentence. So fala, you're familiar. So mega, fala, nibbana, fala, resultants, result sentence. So cause sentence and result sentence, or effect sentence also. And then now number 6. So here, 1, 2, 3. Here, 4, 5, and then 6. Altogether 6. So lada dosa wakya. Lada dosa wakya. A sentence that expresses a floral the former sentence. So in the former sentence, express some statement. Maybe that one is a bit difficult to acceptable or not so consistent with the other statement, or maybe like that. So find out. So that sentence, find out a floral the former sentence or follow the former sentence. So such a sentence is called the lada dosa. Dosa means fault or flaw or mistake. So dosa mean obtained or produced by the former line. So lada dosa. So these 3 sentences are not the same as a former line in meaning, but only connected with the former one as a cause and effect, etc. So cause and effect. Lada dosa also the cause and the bad result, bad effect, and so on. Okay. Shall Jari. You raise your hand to ask question or not. Okay. So now 3 lines altogether 6 lines. So cause, effect, and flow. I cannot hear you.
Hello, Sarah. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, here, but not so clear.
Not so clear?
Now, okay.
Oh, okay. So may I ask, like this he when we come to the Nisaya, because sometimes I saw the Nisaya say, sewu and my e. So I want to know when we encounter such in explanation in Nisaya, so what kind of sentence that they refer?
Sorry?
For example, when we come to the Nisaya, so I saw the Nisaya translation. Sometimes when they say the he, they will use like a sewu and or my e. So which sentence that refer to? It refers like for example, in the Tapakadikarana Vacha.
No,
So
not
in the
finished.
Nisaya.
Later you will see.
Oh, okay, thank you.
So now three sentences. These three sentences are not the same as the former line in meaning, but just connected with the former line as a cause and effect. Okay, so that is why that the meaning of he. So cause effect flow only connected with a formal line, just a cause and effect. Okay. And then now another 5 sentences, the meaning of the he. So altogether it will be 11. So that he is very widely used. So 5 sentences, but they are partly related in meaning. So with the formal line, to the formal line. So the first one is here, Wakia Ramba. So Wakia means sentence, Aramba means attempt. So after losing content, so with the formal sentence. And also another sentence that is attempt again to contact, maybe something need to be said there. So at that time, so that sentence started. That sentence is called the Wakia Ramba. Later, maybe with the example can be understood clearly. Now, such a Wakia Ramba, now Siali Mobonyajari are such a sentence. Sa he say so or sa say so commonly such a Wakia Ramba. Or Ubaneasa, next one also. So set me continually. I will continue explaining or like that. Maybe sa say so answer at the time. Wakia Ramba, Wakia or Ubaneasa, Wakia, one of them. But based on the what is different between them also later we'll see. So now Wakia Ramba, Wakia also, attempted sentence to contact with the formal line. Maybe they are related in just information. So no cause and effect, or maybe no, how to say, thinking about and wait, brief and detail or something. No, could not be. So just related in information, just related in meaning to the formal line, partly related or not directly. And then, so Uba Nyasa Wakia also. So without losing contact with the formal line, so a sentence that is continuously attempted. So maybe, for example, so a question, or maybe some complaint, or some talking, talking about the something. At that time, to explain that within one line is not possible to understand that. So maybe 2 lines, 3 lines, 4 lines. So at that time, later lines are connected with the former line. So such a sentence can be understood here, Wakia Ramba or the Upanyasa, one of them. Maybe question is 1 line, but to answer that question, 3 line, 4 line, 5 line explained. So between these 3 lines, connection can be understood. Maybe later lines are Wakia Ramba or maybe surely Upanyasa. So Wakia Ramba is after losing contact, so try again to connect that. Maybe something that need to be explained. And then, so number 9 is, so we see sa Wakia. We see sa. So a sentence that points out distinct meaning among the formal sentences of the common meaning. So for example, maybe so one word, so at the very beginning of the discourses, we can see Ewan Mesu Dan, Ekan Samayan, Bhagavad Savutian, we had a day, or Bhagavad Varanasi, we had such a sentence. Maybe every discourse in the Sultan that can be found. So at that time, the commentator at the very beginning, so he explains Ewan mean what, may mean what, Sudan mean what, and the Samaya. So Samaya is maybe 12 minutes or 14 minutes. So the meaning, so can denote maximum. So maybe 14. At the time, in this example, this meaning, in that example, that meaning, in other example, other meaning, and so on. So after that, the possible meaning of that word, expression of the possible meaning of those words, those sentences are, Samanya sentences. Of then, here in this sentence, it can Samaya. So Samaya means Thai expression or something like that. In this way, intended meaning, finding out the intended meaning or distinct from the other meaning in this case, because of that, because of this. So here, the meaning of the word Samaya is this. So such a sentence is called the Visesa Vakya. So among the common meaning, choosing the distinctive or especially intended meaning. So taking out that such a sentence is called the Visesa Vakya. And then now number 10. So Anwaya Vakya. So Anwaya means so conformity to the current statement. So the first line also talking about, the second also talking about that. They are so conformed. They are connected with in the conformity. Such a sentence is conform. Maybe anuloma also. But the other one is, Vyadireka. Vyadireka means opposition or reverse, but the loma. So opposite to the former statement, current statement. So that is Vyadireka. So Anwaya and Vyadireka are opposite to each other. So these 5 sentences are partly related to the former sentence in meaning. Just partly related. They are not similar. They are not connected. Just partly related. So that is why the meaning of this he is here 2 attempts. So 2 attempts mean Vakya Ramba and the Upanyasa. So attempt to here also continuously attempt. So 2 attempts. 2 lines, 2 meaning, and a distinction, that is Visesa, and conformity, that is Anwaya, and the opposition, and that is Vyadireka. They are just partly related with the former line in meaning. So now the meanings of above mentions. So from the clear, explore, conform to the distinction, conformity, composition. These 11s are the meanings of the sentence indicated by the indeclinable particle he. So, and then now after the he, so ja bana, the meaning of the ja, the meaning of the bana. So he is, the widest one. So 11 sentences can be indicated by the he. And the ja and the bana, the indeclinable particles ja and the bana, so can also indicate those meaning, those 11 meanings, but so Bana can still indicate other meanings. So the meaning of he also 11, the meaning of ja also 11, the meaning of Bana also 11, but Bana has other etc. meaning. So that is number 12. Bana means Garaha. So Garaha means a sentence that denote the blameworthy sense. Blameworthy sense of the former line, former statement. So that sentence denote blameworthy sense of the former line. So that is Garaha Vakya. The same way opposite with that one. So praiseworthy Sambhavana Vakya. So a sentence that denote praiseworthy sense. Okay. And also now, so Bekandara Vakya. So Bekandara Vakya is maybe some sentences are two parts. For example, question, after that the answer. So question and answer. So at the time, question is one part, answer is one part. So after question, there will be see the answer. That answer is Bekandara. Question means Bekka. So question means this part. So answer means the other part. So these two parts together, this side and that side, question side and the answer side in this way. Bekka means side, part or side. So a sentence that explains the other part in this way. Vakya, Vakyandara. So now Japana are similar to he, 11 minutes, can denote, can indicate. But in addition, so Bana indicates, so blameworthy and then praiseworthy and the other parts. So that is why altogether he has 90 indications. Oh, sorry, 9 indications. Ja also 9 indications, but Bana 9 and another. So here, Garaha, Sambhavana, and then so Bekandara, another 3, so 12 indications, 12 minutes. So indicated by the Bana. So, and then now remarks related to that. So it must be noted that, so in indicating, so Garaha of the Bana. So here Garaha means, even though, literally blameworthy sense, but so especially here, it means, lesser or inferior sense. Lesser one of the former line, or inferior one of the former line, inferior sense of the former line. Maybe big one or lesser, greater or lesser, superior or inferior. So connected with that, so Sambhavana also, Garaha means blameworthy sense me here, lesser and the inferior. So opposite to that, Sambhavana means so greater or superior sense. Greater sense or superior sense. Not the other. So maybe greatness or lessness or inferiority or superiority. So greatness and superiority are Sambhavana. So lessness and inferiority are, so Garaha in this way can be understood. And so that Garaha Vakya also has another name that is called the Aruciyata Vakya. So Ruchi means please or like. So Aruchi means not please, not like, or not satisfied. So that Garaha sense is, so one is not satisfied with that Garaha sense. inferior or lessness. So that is fine. So that one also can be called the Arujyata Vakya. Another name, they are the same, just different in name. So because it has undesirable sense. And the Sambhavana Vakya also called as a Anugha Vakya because it has favorable sense, Anugha. Mostly we like, so greatness or superiority, so Anugha. So we do favor for that. So favorable sense, Anugha. So that is why here, Bana Garaha. The meaning of the Bana is Garaha, so lesser or inferior, and the Sambhavana, so greater or superior. Just briefly can be understood. The same way Arujyata also lesser or inferior, and the Anugha Vakya also, so greater or superior. So now I explained it. So those sentences are, even though, can be named in this way, Sankhipa, Vaitara, Karana, Phala, that is, with reference to the former line. Reference to the later line. So can has another meaning. So that is why. So set of Vakya should be understood. So with reference to the former line, what kind of set? With reference to the next line, what kind of set? So in this way. So now, the first line we learned is Tabbakati Karana. So later line is called the Tabbakati Karana. A later sentence that makes formal one clear. So a formal one is unclear sentence. So that is called the Abbakata Vakya. So they are one set. Abhagata, unclear sentence, and the clear sentence. So later line clear sentence at the time formal line and clear sentence. In this way, vice versa can be understood. One set. That is one set. So here remark. So Abhagata Vakya is also called the Tabbhakaraniya Vakya. That is another different name, just different in meaning. Just different in name. The same with unclear sentence. So Abhagata or Tabbhakaraniya. So Abhagata means unclear. So Tabbhakati Karana means that should be made clear. Just that. That means unclear. Okay. So just different in Pali name. Not so important. So Tabbhakati Karana Vakya is mostly shown with the Upamana and Upameya Vakya. So for example, for formal statement is not so clear. So at the time we attempt to explain that. We attempt to make it clear that. So in that attempt, mostly those Upamana, Upameya, simile Vakya are included. Mostly. So if you don't understand this one, so at the time, for example, based on this, you can understand that. So for example, so those are, for example, mean that simile Upamana or Upameya Vakya in this way. Awesome. Okay.
So does that mean that the Tabbhakati Karana has two sub-sentences? One of them is Upamana, and the other one is Upameya?
So that is Saroji remark mostly. So two habits, when you read in Tabbhakati Karana, so it can be the Upamana and Upameya also 2 lines or 3 lines. So that is why I explained it. In the question and answer, even though question is 1 line, but the other lines answer is maybe 4 lines or 5 lines. All of them are, Visishjana Vakya or answer Vakya. Not just a single line.
Yeah, but here, because in the context here, so the first, the former sentence is Appakata, right? The next sentence is Tabbhakati Karana sentence. So the later sentence explains the first sentence. So which means in the second sentence, we should have like maybe not just one sentence, but many sentences in there. And they can be both upamana and upamaya in there.
Yeah, right. So for example, in the Mahasatipatthana Sutta, so the Buddha just said that, Chadaromi Bhikkhve Dhamma, Satipatthana, and so on. That is just Sankheba, and the all of the whole, the Mahasatipatthana Sutta is Vaitara. In this way also can be understood, right? Not just a single sentence. Maybe some are a single sentence, and some are maybe long one in this way. Within that detailed explanation sentence, Vaitara sentence also maybe some are like the backup, backhandra, some are cause and effect, some are upamana and upameya, and so on.
Okay, thank you, Sayadaw.
Okay. So that is why here it is divided again. That sentence is yataviya. Yataviya sentence is upamana, wakya, and also the sentence with the tata eon and so on are upameya wakya. So those are also part of the Tatthabhakati Karana Vakya, but again can be divided Upamana Vakya and Upamaya Vakya also. Or maybe Karana Vakya and Phala Vakya also based on their relation. Yeah. And then now another set is Sankheba Vakya, so formal line, brief sentence. Formal brief sentence. And Vaitara Vakya, later detailed sentence. In that detailed sentence also like that Tabhagati Karana or something. So maybe Upamana, Upamiya or something also can be. But mostly in the Tabhagati Karana with the Upamana, Upamiya can be found. Okay. That is Saraji Ramat based on his experience. And then now that set is, so Danliya Vakya, so formal sentence itself that is not so strong or complainable. So for that, so reference sentence or logical explanation should be supported. So that is, such a sentence is called a Danliya. And also, so reference sentence or logical explanation is next slide. That is Danli Karana. So later sentence that provides the reference or logical explanation to former one. So that is Danliya and the Danli Karana. And then, so Karana or Hetu. Karana or Hetu Vakya. So that is formal sentence that denote reason or cause. So later line will be effect or result. So Phala Vakya. A later sentence that denote result of the formal line or effect of the formal line. So, and also here remark. So these two sentences can be interchanged, even though here later line, formal line, but based on the context, sometimes Phala is the sentence part, Karana is later. Or sometimes Karana is part, Phala is later in this way. So their position can be interchanged. And also Yoti Vakya. Yoti means logics or logical meaning. So a formal sentence that denotes the logical meaning or logical sense. And that is called the Yoti Vakya. So if it is logical, so at the time some good result will have. So that result is called the Lada Guna Vakya. So a later sentence that denotes the consequence as understood in accordance with the logical sense. And then, so IoT. So YOT means logical. So IoT means, how to say, illogical or non-logical? I'm not sure. Maybe illogical also. So based on that illogical sense, so something undesirable point, so denote the consequence understood in accordance with that illogical sense. That is, fault or flaw or mistake, weak point. So IODNE, Lada Dosa. YODNE, Lada Guna. Logical sense and good result. So illogical sense and the bad result. And then Arada Wakya. So that is a formal sentence that has been attempted. So for example, to the first sentence answer Bocha Wakya. Later sentences are Wisajana or answer Wakya. So maybe in that Wisajana Wakya, answer Wakya. So there are 5 lines. So the first line is maybe Arada, so started line. So after that, continuous line. Later, continuous line are also can be called the Wakya Ramba. In this way also, Wakya Ramba. Maybe some are based on the formal statement. So that formal statement is not so strong and need to be provided the other that the reference or quotation and so on. But his answer is not stopped yet. But so content is loosed because of that quotation or reference or logical explanation. But his answer is not stopped yet. That is why he tries to contact or he tries to continue his answer. And such a sentence is called the Wakya Ramba Wakya. So a later sentence that is attempted to contact after losing contact with the former sentence. So because there is something to be complained or there is something to be said or to be continued. That is fine. Or Wakya Ramba. The same way, the first line, the Arada Wakya. So former sentence that has been attempted. So for example, in the answer Wakya, so 5 lines. The first line is Arada. Later line is without any disturb, like the the Ubamana, Ubamiya, or reference, and so on, without any disturbs. So continuously writing. So later following sentences can be called the Ubanayasa. So without losing contact with the former sentence, a sentence that is continuously attempted because there remains something to be complained or to be said in the former sentence. Okay, so now it says we have maybe later money. Okay, this one is for afternoon section. So is there any question? Okay, so if no more, maybe next time also you can raise a question, something not clear to you or something you have doubt. Okay, so let me stop here by saying sadhu, 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 sadhu.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Thank you so much, Sayadaw.
Thank you so much, Father.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, Bante.
Welcome.
Thank you, Sayadaw.
Welcome.